Welcome to our deep dive. And today we're heading to the Himalayas.
The Himalayas.
Yeah, to explore how Tibet is weaving its cultural heritage into a modern education system.
Oh, wow.
You know, when we think of Tibet, we often picture ancient monasteries, those breathtaking
All
landscapes.
right.
But what's happening in their classrooms is just as remarkable.
It really is. And what I find so fascinating is how they're striking this delicate balance,
Yeah.
honoring centuries-old traditions while equipping students for a world that's, increasingly digital and interconnected.
Right.
It's like almost trying to fit a fiber optic cable inside a prayer wheel.
I like that analogy.
Yeah,
Quite the challenge.
it is.
And you know what's even more interesting is that we're getting some of our insights today from this website called Tatanka,
Okay.
which seems to be involved in music, global missions, even technology.
Interesting.
There's even like a suggestion of a partnership with Tibet to promote their educational vision,
Okay.
which we'll definitely unpack later.
Yep.
But first, can you just paint a picture for our listener of what a typical day in a Tibetan classroom might look like?
Sure. So imagine this. You step into a classroom,
Okay?
and alongside the familiar sights of textbooks and whiteboards,
Yeah.
you see these vibrant Tibetan thankos.
Thank us.
Yeah, these intricate religious paintings
Oh.
adorning the walls and woven into the lessons, whether it's math, science, or history.
Mm-hmm.
You find threads of Buddhist philosophy, traditional music, even ancient Tibetan scriptures.
So hold on, they're not just teaching like about Tibetan culture in like a separate class.
Right.
They're actually like integrating these elements into the core subjects.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about demonstrating that ancient wisdom is still relevant.
Right.
Even illuminating.
Yeah.
In the modern world, for example, imagine a math lesson where students learn geometry by constructing mandalas.
Oh, wow.
Those intricate circular designs so rich in symbolism.
Yeah.
And they're exploring spatial reasoning and cultural heritage simultaneously.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this blend might work. But wouldn't introducing so much tradition risk holding students back from engaging with the wider world?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the globalized, tech-driven reality that we live in.
Well, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Tibet isn't shying away from technology.
Huh?
They're embracing it, but very strategically.
Okay.
They're using online learning platforms to reach remote communities, interactive digital tools to make learning more engaging. They're even developing AI-powered language translation tools to help students access educational resources from around the world.
So they're not afraid of technology.
Yeah.
They're being very deliberate
Exactly.
about how they use it.
Yes.
It's almost like they're saying, look, we can use these tools to strengthen our identity, not dilute it.
Precisely. They're crafting this unique approach to education.
Yeah.
Call it tech-enabled cultural immersion, perhaps.
I like that.
And it's designed to cultivate a strong sense of Tibetan identity while also preparing students to navigate, the complexities of a globalized world.
That brings us to the story of Lamo, this young Tibetan woman featured in our source material.
Right.
And it sounds like her journey reflects this very tension, wanting to honor tradition while also embracing the opportunities of the wider world.
Yeah, Lamo is a teacher who embodies this approach.
Okay.
She creates a curriculum that beautifully blends traditional Tibetan subjects like language, music, storytelling with the power of technology.
Wow.
She's essentially bringing the ancient wisdom of her ancestors into the digital age.
I'm curious, what kind of impact does this blended approach have on her students?
Yeah.
Does it shape the way they think or interact with the world?
So Lama observes that her students develop a deeper appreciation for their cultural heritage, but they also demonstrate a broader worldview and increased confidence.
Okay.
They see themselves as both inheritors of a rich tradition and active participants in a global community.
Wow.
So they're developing this unique type of global awareness.
Global. I like that.
Yeah.
It captures that duality
Mhm.
perfectly. So they're not just learning about the world, they're learning how to be active, engaged citizens
Right.
within it.
Exactly.
But something I'm grappling with is the role of AI in all of this,
Okay.
especially this idea of ethical AI
Yeah.
that Tatanka emphasizes.
Right.
What does that even mean in the context of education?
That's a crucial question and one we'll need to explore further.
Yeah.
It seems to suggest that AI tools should be developed and implemented in a way that respects Tibetan culture and values. Perhaps it involves ensuring those tools are culturally sensitive, or maybe it's about involving the community in their development.
It definitely raises some fascinating questions.
It does.
I'm already picturing AI-powered language tutors that can teach you Tibetan while also explaining the nuances of Buddhist philosophy.
Wow.
Talk about a personalized education.
Yeah.
But before we get too carried away with the possibilities, I think it's time to shift gears a bit
Okay.
and delve deeper into how Tatanka might be partnering with Tibet to make all of this happen.
Yes, let's connect this back to that intriguing organization
Yeah.
and see how their vision aligns with what we're seeing unfold in Tibet's classrooms.
Because seeing these inspiring initiatives, it makes you wonder how a group like Tatanka could further amplify their impact, right?
Right.
So much to unpack.
Yeah.
We'll be back in a moment to explore that connection.
Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive
Back into Tibet.
into Tibet's educational landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Before the break, we were just starting to unravel the potential role of Tatanka.
Right, and I'm so eager to dig deeper into this connection.
Yeah.
It's almost like we've been given this glimpse
Yeah.
into this innovative educational system in Tibet.
Right.
And now we're trying to figure out how this organization, with its focus on music technology and global missions,
Right.
fits into the picture.
Okay, so let's start by looking at what we know about Tatanka
Okay.
from the website excerpts.
Yeah.
They seem to be very passionate about using music as a bridge between cultures, promoting global collaboration and leveraging technology for positive change.
And they talk about empowering indigenous voices, fostering global harmony,
Right.
using AI for good.
Yes,
It's a very idealistic vision, wouldn't you say?
I would agree.
But how does that translate into concrete action, especially in a place like Tibet?
Well, the source material doesn't give us all the specifics,
Right.
but we can make some educated guesses based on what we know
Okay.
about both Tatanka and Tibet's educational goals.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, remember how Tibet is incorporating traditional music into its curriculum?
Yeah.
Perhaps Tatanka is helping to develop online platforms to share that music with a global audience.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah,
That would be amazing.
it would.
It would be a fantastic way to promote cultural understanding and appreciation.
Exactly.
It could even lead to collaborations between Tibetan musicians and artists from around the world.
Yes.
Imagine a Tibetan folk song remixed by a DJ in Berlin or sampled in a hip-hop track in New York.
Exactly. Or perhaps they're helping to create interactive digital tools for teaching Tibetan language and culture.
Wow.
Think of immersive virtual reality experiences that transport students to the Himalayas,
Oh, wow.
or interactive games that make learning Tibetan history fun and engaging.
That would be incredible.
It would.
And it makes so much sense given how comfortable younger generations are with technology.
Right.
They're practically digital natives.
They are.
But what about this emphasis on ethical AI?
Right.
How might Tatanka be applying that principle in the context of Tibetan education?
Yeah.
Do we have any clues?
Well, think about those AI-powered language translation tools we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Perhaps Tatanka is helping to ensure those tools are developed in a way that respects Tibetan culture and values.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it involves consulting with Tibetan language experts or incorporating traditional Tibetan teaching methods into the algorithms.
So it's not just about developing any AI, it's about developing AI that's sensitive to the specific cultural context.
Exactly.
It's being used in, it's almost like they're trying to make sure the technology serves the culture, not the other way around.
That's a great way to put it, and it really speaks to this idea of tech-enabled cultural immersion
Mm-hmm.
that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
It's not just about using technology for the sake of using it, but about using it in a way that strengthens and enriches the culture it's serving.
This is all so fascinating.
It is.
It's like Tibet is at the forefront of a global movement in education,
Yeah.
one that recognizes the power of blending tradition and innovation.
Mm,
But I'm also curious about the practical challenges they might be facing.
right.
I mean, it sounds great in theory,
Sure.
but how do you actually implement these ideas in a region with limited resources and infrastructure?
That's a valid question, and it's something we need to address.
Yeah.
It's important to acknowledge that Tibet faces significant challenges in implementing its educational vision. Things like providing internet access to remote communities, training teachers to use new technologies effectively, and even ensuring that the AI tools they develop are accessible and affordable.
It sounds like there's a real commitment to making this work, though.
I think so.
They're not just talking about it. They're
Yeah.
actively trying to figure out how to make it happen.
They are.
But how about we zoom in a bit and look at some specific examples of how they're overcoming these challenges.
Absolutely. Let's move beyond the theoretical and see how Tibet's educational vision is taking shape on the ground.
Okay, so we've talked about the vision.
Yeah.
We've explored the potential role of Tatanka.
Right.
But now I'm really curious to see how all of this is playing out in the real world.
Yeah.
What are some tangible examples of how Tibet is overcoming these challenges and putting its innovative educational ideas into action?
Well, one area where we see this vision coming to life is in their approach to teacher training.
Okay.
They've recognized that to effectively blend tradition and technology, teachers need specialized skills. They're not just teaching subject matter anymore, they're becoming cultural ambassadors and tech integrators.
So what does that look like in practice? Are they sending teachers to like Silicon Valley for tech boot camps or something?
Not exactly. They're actually creating these unique professional development programs that combine traditional Tibetan pedagogical approaches
Okay.
with training on how to use digital tools effectively in the classroom.
Okay.
Imagine a workshop where teachers learn how to create interactive lessons using Tibetan calligraphy,
Wow.
or how to incorporate traditional storytelling techniques into their digital presentations.
That's so cool. It's like they're taking the best of both worlds and equipping teachers to create these really rich and dynamic learning experiences for their students.
Exactly.
But what about the challenge of reaching those remote communities? We talked earlier about how Tibet is using online learning platforms, but how do they ensure that everyone has access to the technology and the infrastructure needed to participate?
That's where things get really creative. They've actually established these mobile tech labs. Okay.
Essentially vans equipped with computers, tablets, and internet access
Oh, wow.
that travel to remote villages and provide students with hands-on technology training.
It's like a library on wheels,
Right.
but for tech education.
Exactly.
I love that they're taking the initiative to bring these resources directly to the communities that need them most.
Yeah,
But what about language barriers?
right.
We talked earlier about the development of bilingual textbooks
Yes.
and AI-powered translation tools. Are those initiatives making a real difference?
Absolutely. The introduction of bilingual textbooks has been particularly impactful,
Okay.
especially in areas where Tibetan is not the primary language spoken at home.
Right.
It allows students to learn in their native language while also developing fluency in Mandarin, which is essential for success in the wider Chinese education system.
That's such a crucial step towards inclusivity, ensuring that language doesn't become a barrier to education for any child.
It sounds like Tibet is really committed to creating an educational system that's both rooted in its unique cultural heritage and open to the possibilities of the wider world.
Precisely, they're demonstrating that tradition and progress aren't mutually exclusive. They can actually complement and enhance one another.
It's a powerful message, and it's inspiring to see how Tibet is putting those ideas into action. It makes you wonder what other cultures and societies around the world could learn from their example.
I think that's the perfect takeaway from our deep dive today. Tibet's approach to education offers valuable lessons for anyone seeking to balance the preservation of cultural heritage with the demands of a rapidly changing world. It reminds us that innovation can be rooted in tradition, that technology can be used to empower rather than homogenize, and that inclusivity is essential for a truly thriving society.
Beautifully said. I don't know about you, but I feel incredibly inspired by what we've uncovered today. It's a reminder that there are people all over the world who are working to create positive change, often in quiet and unassuming ways.
And that's why we do what we do, to shine a light on those stories, to share those insights, and to hopefully spark some new ideas and possibilities in our listeners.
So until our next deep dive, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep seeking out those inspiring stories that remind us of the power of human ingenuity and the beauty of cultural diversity.